now it's time for a lesson in my teaching analogy. Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about my teaching analogy. Hello everybody, Cliff here. So today I'm going to be talking about my teaching analogy. Basically, what could I compare teaching to? And I came up with, I think, a pretty good one. I think that teaching is like fishing, and specifically deep sea fishing. Hear me out and we'll get to it. There are 4 key points to fishing that I think connect directly to when you're teaching. The first is location is valuable. You got to understand your location, where you're going to be fishing from. After all, certain areas aren't going to have the right kind of fish you're looking for. And as a teacher, you want to know your audience. You want to know what kind of students you're going after. For me, for example, I really want to teach in Japan, so I know my waters. I know where I'm headed to go fish. For other people, it may be in the special education field. For others, it may be in a middle school area that's low poverty, you know. It could be anyone, but you got to know where you're headed first. The second point is you've got to have self-discipline, control, and patience. Patience is key. You're not going to get to these kids right away. And just like a good fisher, a fisher has to know how to handle themselves on rocking docks, on shifting boats, deal with difficult weather conditions, and sometimes you're just going to have really stale days where you're just not going to catch a thing. You're going to sit there for hours wondering what it's all worth. Is it worth your time? But at the end of the day, when you've caught something, it'll be all worth it. So remember, always that bit of patience in both fishing and in teaching, because students aren't going to jump in right away. They usually won't. You got to work for it. You got to wait for it. Patience. And the third point, you got to know your fish. A good fisherman knows what kind of fish they're looking for, because there are hundreds, thousands of fish out there, all good for the taking. And just like that, there are thousands of different kinds of kids you're going to experience. No one kid is going to give you the same experience. They're all unique. They're all wonderful in their own way. And some are just willing to jump right in, like the yellow snapper that we used to catch off the Florida Keys. Those will just gather around the boat. They're anxious to be caught. They're ready to be caught by you. In the same way, there are some students anxious to learn. They're ready to take the lessons that you give them and regurgitate back the information that you want to hear them give back. But at the same time, you're going to have ones that give you trouble. I call them the groupers. They're the ones that are going to struggle and fight against you.
There we go. All right, Robin,
but once you've caught one of those bad boys, that's some good eating. But never forget,
fish are friends, not food.
The final point, know your bait. The fact is that some fish are not going to be caught by the same bait. The classical worm approach just won't always work. The bait has to be inviting, it has to be tantalizing to that fish. And in the same way, you got to make sure that your lessons, your plans, and your entertainment are all what the student is going to want to see and take in. You got to make sure that it's something that they are interested in and invested in so that they're more willing to grab onto the hook. So, with all that said, I think you can kind of understand now why I believe that teaching and fishing are so similar. Now, I've done a lot of fishing, and if you've fished like I have, I think you can kind of connect these. If you haven't gone fishing, I really recommend taking a boat, heading out onto a lake or out onto the ocean since we're so close to the beach, sitting down a while and trying to cast and see what you can catch. Because once you're in the classroom, you're going to be doing the exact same kind of exercise. That sums it up for me, folks. See you later.
Ariel, listen to me. The human world, it's a mess. Life under the sea is better than anything they've got up there. The seaweed is always greener in somebody else's lake. You dream about going up there, but that is a big mistake. Just look at the world around you, right here on the ocean floor. There's wonderful things around you. What more is you looking for? Under the sea, yeah, under the sea, yeah.